Okay, we want to thank everybody for coming today. Today's a special day to honor Dale. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Everybody knows how Dale was. We're going to talk about the great things that he had, but also how he was, and you know, why we loved him for who he was. I want to, if we could have some of our board members, you don't have to stand, but you know, past board members, if you could, of St. Francis, if you could raise your hand. Marina, let's see. One thing, we got about half a dozen here. One of the things that we have to understand is I've been here for 33 years, and Dale was very instrumental in all the things that we did. Very instrumental. But you know, if these folks would have said no, nothing would have happened. And so we're very thankful for them. They came at 7 o'clock in the morning for meetings. They didn't get paid, and did it for a lot of years. And Wally, one of the speakers, he got railroaded into being president in about 5 minutes of the board meeting. And the chair says, "Well, now you finish the meeting." Right, Wally?
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
The chair was Marilyn Finch.
Yeah, Marilyn Finch did that too. We had that planned out the month before he got on though. So, we also want to thank for this program. My wife Shelley and Marina Kolopek put a lot of work into this, and I just get up here to talk. I didn't do all the work behind that. Maybe just kind of give you an idea how hard they worked on it. Is my wife had a dream about Dale and Marina. I just heard that this morning, and so it was kind of that's how hard they've worked on it. Marina, did you have a dream, or you didn't have a dream?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I've had nightmares about it.
Probably the thing that Dale was most known for, you know, a hard worker, getting things done, and doing things right. And I want to tell you just a little story. After we finished our project, the 3-year project at St. Francis, $5.25 million, 3 years, took a lot of time. And the architects, they were creative, they did a nice job in some things, good to work with, but not very detailed, and not very, if you ask Dale to do something, he got it done yesterday, not, not tomorrow. He was that kind of a guy. And so we were, John Bouchant and Greg Long, who worked a lot with Dale, doing things. We were sitting in this room, and we were talking about the future. We were talking about someday we're gonna build an assisted living. That's one of our next projects. And I said, geez, who are we going to get for our architect? And John Bouchant says, Dale's looking pretty good now, isn't he? I said, he really is, you know. Because, Dale did a great job for us. You know, it wasn't perfect, but he did an excellent job, by far better than anybody we've ever had. And so that was that's kind of gave me the thought that, you know, we should dedicate this room in Dale's memory. Dale had a unique thing that you don't find anymore. We're doing 2 projects, and we have to hire an engineer, and we have to hire an architect. Well, with Dale, you didn't have to do that. You got 2 in 1. And he really did a fantastic job. And to kind of give you an idea of what that means is, well, you can get a guy, Dale, this room and these apartments, Dale drew all this, okay? All the Seeland Park, all the roads, the storm sewer and everything, he did that for us too. So just wasn't buildings, he could do the engineering. And that really is special because you don't find that anymore. Nobody can do that. The other thing is that, I started here in 1982, and when I came to St. Francis, they didn't have enough money for an ice maker. They didn't have enough money for copy machine. We used to go to DeLong's and make our copies. And, you know, at one time, Grinnell College didn't have a lot of money either. But Dale was the kind of person, when he worked at the college and he helped us out, he was very conservative and he did things right and they were structurally sound. And he always thought about how to maximize your dollar. And that was really important to us when we didn't have any money. It really was. And so he was a very important team member. And the other thing about Dale is, you know, one time we were talking about things and he'd say, "But, you know, I don't have any people skills." You know, and there was times where Dale and I would, unfortunately, we get the last. He would. I'm not that big, but we'd go toe to toe, and there'd be times where he'd hang up on me, or you know, I'd say if I never talk to him again, it'll be too early, you know. But you know, that was just Dale. That's how he was. But you know, even though he may not have had the greatest people skills, he really had a heart. Under all that persona, he really had a heart for helping people. He really did. And he used his giftedness, his architectural, his engineering things to help us and make a difference in people's lives. Did that up at the college, you know. He did that here for St. Francis, our buildings, this room, the social center that we're going to go into, Dale drew that. The hallway you're going to walk through, Dale, those 2 additions, Dale did that. Our last, Marina and I were talking about the last Seeland Park phase we did. Probably the people moved in about, what was it, 07, the last person, 06 maybe, Marina, they moved in.
7,
yeah, and Dale did the engineering on phase 5, you know. He actually, the houses, he would have Greg Long from Bashan's meet with the people, and then he would finish it up. He just said, I need to slow down a little bit. The thing that we're going to do, we have a plaque over here that we're going to get another one of those. Rainey, we're going to put one of them up there, and then we're going to have this be yours today. And I'm going to, really turned out great, you know, Shelley, Marina did a fantastic job. Decide which picture, you know, and I'm kind of the idea, I write it, but it doesn't look the best, and they make it look good, you know. But we're just going to kind of go over what that plaque says, and for this dedication for today. The Hawn Center Dedication, August 24th, 2014. And I think one thing that you have to understand about our organization here, people, this is really the only second person we've done this on. Seeland Park was named after Dick Seeland. We didn't do it because he donated money. We did it because Dick was a great guy, went to Grinnell College. Everybody loved and respected him. He was a big part of St. Francis. Did he donate later? Yes, he did. But he was a good friend with Joe Rosenfeld up at the college. And I said, Dick, you go tell Joe you didn't have to buy your name. You earned it. And that's the same thing with Dale. Dale earned this. So we're kind of a different organization. We don't do this very often. I mean, 33 years, this is the second person that we've done this with. And that just shows how much Dale means to us. And, you know, things in life, you know, we can take things for granted. But as we've been through this last building phase, we really found out how fortunate that we were, that Dale And I started working with him probably 1984, all the way through 2006. So, over 20 years, 22 years. And so we all need to appreciate our family and our relationships and not take it for granted. But Dale was born in 1925, passed away in 2008. And like we said, he was an engineer architect at Grinnell College. One thing you might not know is that, and I didn't really know this when I first met Dale, I'm not sure when Dale told me about this, but he was on the Grinnell Hospital Board, Grinnell General Hospital Board, when they merged St. Francis Hospital. When they hired me, I said, well, St. Francis, I grew up as a Lutheran. They said, no, we don't have a Catholic on the board. But we named St. Francis Manor in honor of the sisters and the great service that they did for people in the community. But there was a big debate about what should they do and what should they do with this land. And each of the hospitals had nursing home beds. And so they ended up, why did they close St. Francis Hospital? Because the hallways weren't wide enough for the life safety code. And they had to just tear it down. And so they merged, plus the town couldn't support two hospitals. So they decided to, most of the board members really didn't want to have the nursing home. They said, it's a lousy business, let's get out of it. And it just about happened that it didn't, but Dale was really strong, saying, we need to have this. And so he was the catalyst. He found the construction company that could build. But probably St. Francis Manor wouldn't be here if it wouldn't have been for Dale being on that board. And a lot of people don't know that. He always felt that there should be a community-owned facility to take care of the elderly and everybody from the hospital, community hospital, to here. In 1984, that's when I met Dale. First met Marina, came up there. Marina probably looked at me and said, geez, who's that kid walking in here? But that was probably our hardest building project because we were taking existing areas and making rooms. In one room, I was trying to configure how I was going to do it. I could never figure out how to do it. And I said, Dale, that looks great. How'd you do that? Well, it took me about a day to get it because there was really tight quarters on that. And to get the bathroom, and they did a fantastic job. He also, we did additions in 1988 and 1996, and he was instrumental in the development of Seeland Park. And currently we have 137 retirement homes, and Dale and Rainey lived in their home for 13 years before Dale passed away, and then Rainey moved over here. Dale was known for being a hard worker, a get-it-done kind of guy, and doing things right. Today, August 24th, 2014, the board members of St. Francis have given us the honor to dedicate this room to Dale Hawn, the Hawn Center, in honor of Dale's generous heart, giving his donated time, his skills, abilities, and we figured probably saved us over $250,000. And when you don't have any money, that's big money. That's like $1 million. Dale's generous spirit will help those needing health care in their retirement years for many years to come. Okay. So what we'd like to do, Shelley, if you could bring the plaque over, and Rainey, can you stand up, and all of okay. I'm going to come up here, Rainey, and we'll turn around so people can see you. John, come up, please. Come up. Anybody else that'd like to come up? You're welcome to. Family members, okay. But Rainey, one thing that if people are really smart, they really understand that Dale's success And all that he did in serving others, a big part of that was his wife, Rainey. Yes. Yes. We were talking about, well, when did Dale retire? One of the family members says, well, he never did retire, he kept working. But Dale worked night and day. Why? He loved to do that. And Rainey was kind and caring, and she was a smart woman. She knew how to handle Dale. Right? You know how to handle him. How long were you guys married?
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay. A long time. But she knew that, you know, he wouldn't have been happy unless he was working. And I'm very fortunate because I got a loving wife, Shelley, that helps me out a lot. So I understand the real secret. You know, we're honoring Dale today, but we also know that his wife of so many years is a big part of that success. So we want to thank you, Rainey, for all you've done for us too, okay? Okay.
You've done a lot.
You bet. There you go. That's yours. And we're going to get another one, and the other one we're going to put up on the wall. But that,
Great.
I saw how nice that was. I said, oh, we should have got two of them, one for Rainey. So, yeah. So there you go. Okay.
Thank you, hon.
You bet. You bet. Okay, we're going to have, let's see, if everybody that's Dale's family, if you could just raise your hands, so, okay, so everybody knows who that is. Wally, would you be willing to come up and finish off here, please? Wally was on our board, and Wally was the executive vice president at the college, and he worked with Dale for 20 years, and you'll love it. I'm sure he's got some good stories too.
Worked with Dale for 20 years, fought with Dale for 20 years. Dion is right. I don't need this.
Okay.
Dion is right. Dale always said he was a man who didn't have people skills. That was the first thing he said to me when he was appointed. He was the second person in the physical plant for about a year, wasn't it, Rainey? And Evan Walden left, and then Dale was moved to the first person. And the first thing he said to me was, well, I don't have many people skills. And in a way it was true, but in a way it wasn't. But Diane was right. Dale did have a giant heart. There are people who lived longer because Dale Hawn took care of them when he was on the physical plant staff at Grinnell College. I know several of them. Dale and I had hard times, but we had great times too. His two lead secretaries are right back there, Marina Kalopek and Dorothy Adkins. Dorothy, hi. I worked with them very closely because I was in charge of the funds at the college, the finances. And there wasn't a bigger spender than Dale, of course, but it was because his projects were giant. But I think that Grinnell College owes Dale a tremendous amount, and he has never been very well recognized by the college. And let me say, I'm not an officer of the college anymore, so I can't do it. But Dale Hawn is responsible for so much in regard to the buildings and grounds of Grinnell College that the college will never, ever be able to pay him back. And I know because all of those projects flowed through my office. And Dale and I worked very closely together. As I say, sometimes we fought very closely together. I think the president, Glenn Leggett, thought we were going to fight more than we actually were going to, because neither one of us are fighters. We're lovers. But I would say that in the last 8 or 9 years that Dale was here, Dale and I made it a point to get together for lunch probably about once every 3 weeks. and we just had a great time. And finally, I called Dale one day and said, Dale, are you still up to having lunch? And he said, no, I just don't feel well enough to go out today. And I said, how would it be if I would bring 3 Big Macs and some Coke, and we could have, you and Rainey and I could have lunch together? And Dale said, well, I'll get Rainey to bake a key lime pie. And it was one of the best pieces of key lime pie I've ever had. And she's responsible. Remember that? And it was only a few days later that Rainey called me and said, Wally, Dale has passed away, which was a really big blow to me, because Dale and I became very much closer after we both had retired and had time to get together and enjoy each other than before. And we did enjoy each other a lot. I look forward to lunch with Dale because I found out a lot of stuff that I never knew about what was going on in the construction industry and things like that. But Dale was a great guy. And Diane tells about how Dale did all these drawings of all these buildings. Well, Dale was a master at the use of the computer. But I don't believe Dale ever had a lesson in how to work. I think he was totally self-taught, wasn't he, Rainey?
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And in fact, the computer center reported to me in those days also. And there were times when I would say to Dale, don't let them know that you're doing it, but show them how to do this with the computer. Because they didn't know. But I have enjoyed, and I would say this too, it doesn't, since Dale didn't think he had people skills, he had great people skills when he was partying. And we had some great parties at the Hawn house. And in fact, I bought the Hawn house. Do you remember that?
No.
The house on the corner there that Owen Rickard owned, and that you folks bought from Owen Rickard. I bought from Dale. And I walked into the house and said, Dale, I walked into my office and said, Dale, I need to get a bigger house. My kids are growing up and I need more space for them. I just lived on 4th Avenue out here. And Dale said, well, I'll show you mine. And I said, when can we see it? And he said, today, come over for a drink. And so we went over, Marie and I, my first wife and I, went over for a drink. And Rainey hadn't heard that we were coming. And I looked at the house and said to Dale, what do you want for it? And he told me. I don't need to tell you what he told me it was. But Rainey said, you look here, mister. You sell this house out from under me, you're going to make one to my specifications. And he did. But a party at the Hawns was always a fun thing. And there was always Bob Dale, Max Jones, Harold Horn, Marina Calopack, all the people that surrounded Dale Hawn enjoyed themselves at a party at the Hawns. It was great. And I think that Dale Hawn needs to be recognized by the college more than he has been. But let's just say that an old vice president that's been retired for 20 years now is giving him that recognition today for this group of people, because he deserves it. Thank you very much.
Okay, we've been talking a little bit about how Dale has made a difference in people's lives. Kind of talked about the college and the college students we talked out here. And we just, there was 3 young men that worked at the college with Dale, and they made some comments. I'm going to kind of paraphrase what they had. The 3 gentlemen that couldn't be here today: Tom Calopack, Marina's boy; Mike Ramsey, Rick and Sue Ramsey's boy; Jay Hardiman, I'm not sure who
Marion Hardiman.
Marion Hardiman, yeah. And they were 3 young men that you know, they'd come home on breaks from college and they'd go work in the physical plant for Dale. And they were, they liked to have fun, is a nice way to put it. And so they worked with Dale up there, and they had some really unique comments that I'm going to talk about. One thing that they talked about that they enjoyed working with Dale and Bob Dale, Tom Sully, and Mike Kurtz. They always said that Dale was always good pointing out what they didn't know. Okay? And a point Dale made very clear to us on many occasions, and he'd always end the conversation. And you have to remember, this is what, 27, what did we figure, 27 years ago, Marina? Or?
At least.
Yeah.
Because Tom's 51.
Yeah, so it's about 30 years ago, easy. And Dale's conversation would end, well, what in the hell should I expect from $8 help? Well, you know, you think about it, $8 30 years ago was big money. So he had him doing some common things. And what we want to talk about with these examples is how Dale, even though he said he didn't have people skills, how he affected these young men, and in the future, how it helped them with life lessons. And so he had them do some common labor work, taking old houses and tearing them out and getting insulation all over them. And of course, Dale's comment was, hey, this is a great way to stay in shape, build character, and a reminder why you might want to finish college. Dale was always good about trying to make a point and to motivate people. And then he'd say, well, you know, I can't afford my skilled laborers to do this. That's why I got $8 an hour college kids to do it. Well, these boys, they were pretty close and they enjoyed themselves. And so, you know, you have to have fun when you're working. You can't just work all the time, you know. So they had some activities that they started. It was called a hammer throwing competition. So they're working in these houses and they were throwing hammers. And unfortunately, some of these hammers went through the windows. And so then they had to tell Bob Dale, oh, Bob, you know, we had some of the hammers go through the windows. And then one day, Dale was walking in to see what they were doing, and he happened to see the hammer throwing contest. And that went over real well. And he said, what in the hell are you guys doing? He says, I believe after we were reminded that the hammers were used for and not used for then something, I really appreciate you three knuckleheads giving the guys in the shop some window repair work, but they're pretty damn good at fixing windows. So now let's find another way to spend our break time. And then, of course, he walked down and he says, well, what in the hell can a guy expect for $8 help? And just imagine Dale getting mad. And, I wish Tom was here. Tom would make it so funny. I'd be falling on the ground. Because I've heard Tom speak before. He's really a tremendous guy. So they're still tearing these houses out. Well, when they're tearing these houses out, they find some houses with a bunch of bats flying around. So that was kind of interesting. So, of course, they improvised and got a fishing net with a long handle, and they roused the bats up, and in a broom, and get them in the net, and they'd catch them. Well, they were, you know, it's going fishing, you know. You got to be proud of your catch, right? So what did they do? It would be what I think I'd do, but they took the bats and nailed them on the wall. And you can imagine what Dale thought when he walked in. We must have had about 15 or 20 bats on our wall of fame of bats there, you know. I read this and just died laughing. And I know it's a long program, but it's fun. It really is good. And of course, he showed up, and his famous phrase, what in the hell are you guys doing? And he said, these bats are protected. Don't you knuckleheads know that? He said, Well, how are we supposed to know that? Once again, he said, well, what can I get from $8 an hour? Okay. So, anyway, they do a lot of demolition, and Dale thought he'd get them to do something else to maybe show they had a little bit more skills. So they were working on the stadium, putting a press box in the football stadium. So Dale told him to take a brand new pickup truck, load with materials, take over the field. And so Tom was driving, and they were in the back, and they tell him, yeah, keep backing up, keep backing up. Well, on purpose, they tell him to back up more than what he should. Well, why did he do that? So he could put a dent in the pickup. And so, wham, they got that, backed into a tree. And of course, those two guys were laughing their head off, you know. And then they had to tell Bob Dale about what it looked like. And so Dale comes out, looks at the bumper, walks away, shaking his head, murmuring to himself all the way back to his office. That's what I get for $8 an hour help. And then at which time he yelled out, I guess that's why we carry insurance. So then the next morning after the car auto accident, he was talking to them. He said, you know, guys, maybe I ought to just pay you guys $8 an hour to sit in the office and do nothing, because it'd be cheaper for me, you know, all that stuff you're messing up. So they were working on one of the houses. He thought he'd give him one more chance, doing some sheetrocking. And they were excited. Boy, we're going to be able to show that we can sheetrock. We're going to show Dale and show how skilled we are. And, you know, we talk about these things they're doing, and it really helped the young men later in life with things that they did. So they get up there, and they're real proud of the work. Well, Dad comes back in to inspect it. And they thought they did a good job. So Dale looks at it, and he says, there isn't a mudder in the whole damn country that would tape and mud the gaps that you guys got left. He told us to tear it down and clean it back up. You know, Dale appreciated people that did a great job. And if he did, he'd tell you. But boy, you know, he's kind of like, him and I are a lot alike. If you don't, we'll tell you too, you know. And then he said, well, what do you expect from $8 help anyway? Shaking his head. And then the guys talk at the end here, and how they had a lot of fun, and they learned about hard work, using your hands, working with others. And the comment is, you never had to guess what Dale was thinking. Nope, he knew exactly what it was. Okay. He was going to chew your bottom. He didn't use bottom, he used another word. With a B, not an A, okay? If you had it coming. But he says, but you always knew as long as you worked for Dale, he was going to have your back. And in his own way, he let you know how much he appreciated you and the work that you did for him. And then the boys talk about, you know, in their life, how it's helped them, and, you know, whether it's remodeling their house or in their work. And they end up saying, Dale was a great man, and we really appreciate the opportunity to work with him. In closing, what we would say that all of you know that Dale was a great man who contributed so much to Grinnell College, what is today. His fingerprints are all over the campus. Additionally, Dorothy, was the secretary, she's in St. Francis. She's in the original building built in 1977. And if it wasn't for Dale, that wouldn't be there today. So that's really his legacy about helping people. For a guy that didn't have any people skills, he really touched a lot of people's lives, didn't he? And then they finish here. Additionally, he worked with St. Francis and later Seeland Park, and provided many, many people, including my mom and late dad. This is Tom writing this, Marina's boy. A wonderful place to retire, to call home. It's unfortunate he couldn't be here to enjoy the accolades, but as we all know, he wasn't one to be in the limelight. But I'm sure he'd be rather proud as he looked down from above. We appreciate everybody coming today. I think we're done, right, Shelley? What we're gonna do, we're gonna go up to the social center, the other building that Dale drew for us, to have our refreshments right now, okay? Thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.